Who was John Adams? For many, he is just another name in the history books, a lawyer, a revolutionary, the second president of the United States. Yet his contributions and struggles tell us much more than the resume of a founding father. Adams's life was shaped by his unshakable principles, fierce independence, and an unwavering commitment to do what he believed was right, regardless of the cost. This is the story of a man who often operated in the shadows of giants like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. It is the story of a leader whose courage and values resonate as strongly today as they did over 2 centuries ago. And in his journey, there lies a wealth of wisdom for our personal development. Before John Adams became one of America's most pivotal figures, he was a man of humble beginnings. Born in 1735 in Braintree, Massachusetts, Adams grew up within a modest farming family. His parents valued hard work and education, traits that influenced his path forward. Adams excelled academically, graduating from Harvard College at just 20 years of age. But more than academic brilliance, it was his sense of integrity and deep commitment to justice that defined his character early on. As a lawyer, he built his reputation for standing by truth, even when it was unpopular. One of his most remarkable acts as a lawyer came after the Boston Massacre in 1770. Adams, despite heavy criticism, defended the British soldiers accused of killing colonists. Why? Not because he supported their cause, but because he believed everyone deserved a fair trial. It was this unflinching regard for justice that set Adams apart and foreshadowed his moral courage in the years to come. When the colonies began their fight for independence, Adams was among the first to declare the necessity of breaking free from British rule. Though not as charismatic as Jefferson or as commanding as Washington, Adams had something just as valuable: relentless conviction. Within the Continental Congress, he worked tirelessly to rally support for independence, even when others hesitated. He played a prominent role in drafting key American documents, including the Declaration of Independence, where his voice advocating for liberty rang loud and clear. Adams' rivalries with other founding fathers, especially Thomas Jefferson, often took center stage. But let us not forget, his contributions were instrumental in shaping the framework of a nation. He didn't crave glory. He sought freedom and justice for his people above all else. Adams' ascent to the presidency was far from smooth. Following in the footsteps of George Washington, an almost mythical figure in American history, Adams had monumental shoes to fill as the second president. His tenure was marked by divisions within the young nation. One of the most challenging decisions of his presidency was the passage of the Alien and Sedition Acts. These laws, aimed at silencing dissent and increasing national security, were deeply controversial and led to widespread criticism. Yet Adams stood firm on his belief that these acts were necessary for the stability of the fledgling republic. Similarly, during a period of tensions with France, when public opinion leaned toward war, Adams resisted, prioritizing diplomacy and peace over popularity. This decision was a political gamble, costing Adams re-election. Adams's presidency was not one of triumph in the eyes of his contemporaries. But in hindsight, it reflects an incredible moral clarity, a willingness to do what was right, even when it meant standing alone. Unlike Washington with his legendary status or Jefferson with his eloquent legacy, Adams spent much of his life overshadowed. He was not a man of grand gestures or sweeping rhetoric. Instead, he was a grinder, someone who believed that real change came through steady, unrelenting effort. His political rivalries were not just with his opponents, but within his own party. His independence of thought and refusal to fall into political partisanship left him isolated at times. Even his closest allies struggled to fully understand or support him. Despite his achievements, Adams often felt unrecognized and underappreciated. He was not celebrated for his presidential decisions at the time. Instead, he faced rejection and criticism. This lack of acknowledgement weighed on him. Yet through it all, Adams remained steadfast, holding true to his values. If there is one thing John Adams teaches us, it is this: popularity fades, but principles endure. He offers a powerful reminder that integrity is not for sale, even when it costs us comfort or approval. Adams' fierce independence of thought resonates deeply. In a world where conformity often feels like the easiest road, his life demonstrates the strength required to stand apart. He valued purpose over praise and character over convenience. This conviction allowed him to weather even the harshest criticisms. What can we learn from this? There comes a time when life challenges us to choose between what is easy and what is right. Adams reminds us to always choose the latter, even when it feels like walking an uphill road alone. True growth, after all, is not born from applause, but from the quiet resolve to live with honor. Perhaps more than ever, Adams's story deserves a prominent place in our personal reflection. His life was riddled with challenges that mirror our own dilemmas today. The struggle for recognition, the tension between principle and popularity, and the courage it takes to stay true to oneself in the face of opposition. Adams chose conviction over comfort, even at great personal and political cost. In a world often obsessed with short-term gains and instant validation, his legacy reminds us of the beauty in taking the long view, to act with integrity because it is right, not because it is easy. This lesson applies not only to leadership, but also to our roles as friends, parents, colleagues, and citizens. Each of us has opportunities to step into courage daily, to speak the truth kindly but firmly, and to persist, even when recognition feels distant. Though his presidency did not shine in his time, Adams' contributions to American history are undeniable. From laying the groundwork of independence to navigating the nation's early conflicts, his efforts have stood the test of time. Importantly, Adams represents the idea that true greatness is not measured by popularity, but by enduring influence. Today, historians view John Adams in a different light. He is respected not as a charismatic leader or a figure of unbroken success, but as an embodiment of purpose and principle. His willingness to fight for peace, justice, and the freedom of future generations outweighs the political fallout he endured. So what does the story of John Adams leave us with? It teaches us that lasting legacies are built on integrity, not applause. Adams lived a life of conviction, embracing the hard choices because they were the right ones. He endured criticism, setbacks, and loneliness. But through it all, he modeled a life of steadfast purpose. In today's fast-paced and approval-driven world, Adams reminds us to pause and ask ourselves, am I standing by my values? His legacy calls us to choose integrity over popularity, purpose over ease, and principles over fleeting praise. As we close, let us reflect on the words Adams himself once said. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. May his story inspire us to live with courage, to stand by what is true, and to lead lives that, like his, prove that principles are the foundation of true greatness.